Have you ever looked at a perfectly normal plate of food, something you've eaten for years, and wondered, could this actually be harming me now? For most of our lives, food is comfort. It's celebration. It's tradition. We eat what we grew up with, what tastes good, what fills us up. But as the years pass, something quietly changes. Our bodies begin to shift, slowly, then suddenly. What once gave us energy now makes us feel heavy. What once felt harmless now leaves behind pain, discomfort, or worse, silent damage. The truth is, after the age of 60, your body doesn't process food the same way it used to. Your metabolism slows. Your organs are more vulnerable. Your immune system, your heart, your brain, they're all demanding more care. But here's the real danger. The most harmful foods aren't the obvious ones. They're the everyday meals, the snacks you grab without thinking, the flavors you've come to crave and trust. Every year, thousands of older adults fall into the trap of eating foods that accelerate aging, increase inflammation, disrupt their digestion, spike their blood pressure, or even silently raise their risk of disease. Not because they don't care, because they simply don't know. And so the question becomes, how much of your health are you unknowingly giving away, bite by bite? This isn't about some trendy diet. It's not about becoming vegan or counting every calorie. This is about survival. This is about quality of life. About staying sharp, staying mobile, staying here, longer and better. In this video, we're going to reveal 7 common foods that are silently harming people over the age of 60. Some may surprise you. Some may already be in your kitchen. And some you may have been eating today. But here's the promise. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid, and more importantly, why. You'll understand the science in plain language, and see how small changes can give you back control over your energy, your memory, your heart, and maybe even add years to your life. Because aging isn't a curse. It's a privilege. But only if we learn to honor the body that's carried us this far. So sit down. Breathe deep. This might be the most important thing you hear all week. Let's begin. Let's begin with something almost every pantry or refrigerator contains: processed meat. It sounds harmless. A slice of ham in your sandwich. A few sausages at a weekend barbecue. Bacon with breakfast. It's easy. It's familiar. It's delicious. But for people over 60, it's also dangerous, possibly even deadly. Processed meats are any meat products that have been preserved by smoking, curing, salting, or adding chemical preservatives. That includes cold cuts, salami, hot dogs, pepperoni, corned beef, canned meats, and even some packaged deli meats you might assume are healthy. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. These meats don't just feed your hunger, they fuel chronic disease. Let's start with what you can't see: sodium nitrite, a preservative added to keep the meat pink and fresh looking. Once inside your body, these nitrites can convert into nitrosamines, a compound known to increase cancer risk, particularly in the colon. And that's not speculation. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens, the same category as tobacco. Still want that bologna sandwich? But it's not just about cancer. Processed meats are a direct attack on your heart. They are extremely high in sodium, and as we age, our kidneys become less efficient at filtering excess salt. That extra sodium increases blood volume, raises blood pressure, and puts a massive strain on aging arteries. For people in their 60s and beyond, many of whom are already on medication for hypertension, this is like pouring gasoline on a small fire. Then there's saturated fat, which is abundant in most of these products. Consuming high levels of saturated fat leads to plaque buildup in arteries, narrowing them, hardening them, and making it harder for your heart to pump blood. The result? A higher chance of stroke, heart attacks, and heart failure. And yet, processed meats remain a staple in many older adults' diets. Why? Because they're convenient. They're affordable. And frankly, they're addictive. The salty-sweet balance, the texture, the mouthfeel, it's all carefully engineered to light up the brain's pleasure center. And the habits formed in our youth don't always die with age. But here's what's crucial to understand. Your body at 60 cannot afford the same indulgences it tolerated at 30. Your system is slower, more sensitive. Damage accumulates faster. And recovery takes longer, if it comes at all. Imagine this. Every slice of salami, every bite of hot dog, is like dropping a small stone into your bloodstream. One day, it clogs. Not overnight, but inevitably. Now you might be thinking, asterisk, so what am I supposed to eat? Asterisk, that's a fair question, and we'll get to healthier alternatives later in this video. But for now, it's about awareness. Because the first step to reclaiming your health is recognizing the quiet poisons on your plate. Processed meats may not knock at your door with a warning. They don't come with a skull and crossbones label. But they are a slow, consistent erosion of your health. And for those over 60, that erosion happens fast. So the next time you're at the grocery store, pause before you reach for that vacuum-sealed pack of cold cuts. Ask yourself, is the convenience worth the cost? Because for many, that cost isn't just higher blood pressure or a stomachache. It could be years shaved off your life. And that's a price far too high to pay for something that was never real food to begin with. There's something seductive about sugar. It hides in the foods we love: pastries, cookies, soft drinks, breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, and even so-called healthy granola bars. It comforts us, rewards us, celebrates with us. But behind its sweet mask lies a darker story, especially for those over 60. As we age, our body's ability to manage sugar becomes increasingly fragile. The hormone insulin, which helps shuttle glucose from the bloodstream into cells for energy, becomes less efficient. This condition, insulin resistance is a warning sign, a precursor to type 2 diabetes, a red flag waving from within. High sugar foods intensify this process, flooding the body with more glucose than it can handle. Blood sugar spikes, insulin surges, and over time, the system begins to fail. But here's what most people don't realize. The damage isn't limited to your waistline or your blood tests. It reaches your brain. Recent studies show a strong correlation between excessive sugar intake and cognitive decline in older adults. The brain, already sensitive to changes in blood sugar, becomes inflamed. Over time, this chronic inflammation can impair memory, reduce focus, and even increase the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. You may think, but I don't eat dessert every day. That may be true. But sugar is deceptive. It's tucked away in sauces, salad dressings, store-bought soups, breads, and packaged meals. A single flavored yogurt can contain more sugar than a donut. A bottle of juice may hold the equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar, far more than your body can process in one sitting. The aging pancreas struggles to keep up. The liver, bombarded with excess fructose, begins to store fat. And meanwhile, the brain starts to suffer from the quiet chaos happening in your bloodstream. For someone in their 60s or beyond, this isn't just about avoiding cavities or cutting calories. This is about protecting the control center of your life, your mind. Because what is long life without memory, without clarity, without the ability to recognize your loved ones or even your own story? That's the terrifying cost of sugar. And yet, it's everywhere. Addictive, accessible, and often recommended by food companies disguised under names like evaporated cane juice, corn syrup, or maltodextrin. Labels lie, but your body never does. So next time you reach for something sweet, ask yourself, is this momentary pleasure worth the fog that may come tomorrow? Because in the end, every spoonful of sugar isn't just feeding your taste buds. It's feeding the fire of inflammation. And for the aging body, that fire burns everything in its path. Salt is one of the oldest food preservatives in human history. It was once more valuable than gold. But today it's killing people, slowly, and often without symptoms, especially those over 60. The modern diet is soaked in excessive sodium. It's in instant noodles, canned soups, packaged snacks, fast food, frozen dinners. Even the humble loaf of bread or a store-bought rotisserie chicken can contain a day's worth of salt in a single portion. And while salt is essential for life, too much of it becomes a quiet, consistent strain on your cardiovascular system. As we age, blood vessels lose elasticity, arteries stiffen, the kidneys lose efficiency. What might have been manageable at 30 becomes dangerous at 60. And when sodium floods the system, the body holds onto water, raising blood pressure, increasing the volume of blood that the heart must pump, and stretching vessels already under pressure. The result? Hypertension. The #1 contributor to heart attacks, strokes, and kidney failure in older adults. Worse yet, the effects are not immediate. High blood pressure often comes with no symptoms. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't announce itself. But silently, it weakens arteries. It damages the heart muscle. It starves the brain. One day it appears, suddenly, in the form of a stroke that steals your speech, a heart attack that takes your breath, or a diagnosis that's already too late to undo. Most older adults don't shake salt heavily on their food, but they underestimate how much is already hiding in the things they eat every day. A bowl of ramen, a handful of chips, a slice of pizza, a preserved pickle. The danger isn't always in what you add. It's in what's already there. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day for adults over 60. But the average diet today contains more than double that amount. Think of your arteries like an old garden hose. With age, they become stiff and brittle. Adding excess pressure, like turning up the water full blast, only increases the risk of rupture. That's what sodium does to your circulatory system. And just like with sugar, the consequences aren't simply physical. High blood pressure also affects mood, cognition, and energy levels. You may feel more fatigued, more irritable, more confused, and never once suspect the salt shaker. So here's a quiet warning. Just because you don't taste the salt, doesn't mean it isn't harming you. Some dangers are visible, but others, like trans fats, are practically invisible. Tasteless, hidden, but lethal. Trans fats are artificial fats created through a process called hydrogenation, where hydrogen is added to liquid vegetable oils to make them solid at room temperature. The result? A longer shelf life, a crispier texture, a richer mouthfeel. To the food industry, trans fats are a miracle of modern chemistry. To the human heart, They are a slow death. They are commonly found in margarine, frozen pies, microwave popcorn, donuts, packaged pastries, fried fast food, and non-dairy creamers. Even some foods labeled as zero trans fat may contain trace amounts, because legally, products can contain up to 0.5 grams per serving and still claim zero. But it only takes a few grams of trans fat a day to begin damaging your arteries. Here's what happens. Trans fats increase LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, while simultaneously lowering HDL cholesterol, the good one. It's a deadly imbalance. Plaque begins to build along artery walls. Blood vessels narrow. Inflammation rises. And for people over 60, whose cardiovascular systems are already worn with time, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a ticking time bomb. Trans fats don't just harm the heart. They affect the brain too. Studies suggest a link between high trans fat intake and poorer memory performance in older adults. They've even been implicated in increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. And yet, they remain in circulation, especially in countries with looser food regulations. Why are they still so common? Because they make food addictive. That golden brown crust on a deep-fried snack. That flaky texture of a processed pastry. These are engineered experiences, designed to make you crave more by more, eat more. And yet, every bite of trans fat is like adding another crack in your cardiovascular system. You won't feel it immediately. But one day, you might feel a tightness in your chest, or numbness in your limbs, or a fog in your mind. And by then, the damage may already be done. For people over 60, the message is simple: eliminate trans fats completely. Even small amounts are unsafe. Read labels. Avoid anything that lists partially hydrogenated oils. Cook at home more often. And stay vigilant. Because the most dangerous enemies are often the ones you can't see. Caffeine is one of the most widely consumed substances on Earth. It wakes us up, sharpens our focus. It's ritual. It's comfort. It's a warm cup of alertness in a world that never stops. But for people over 60, too much caffeine becomes more than just a buzz. It becomes a burden. As the body ages, it processes substances more slowly. The same cup of coffee that energized you at May 30th now linger in your system, overstaying its welcome. Your liver works slower. Your heart beats harder. Your nervous system becomes more sensitive. And caffeine in excess begins to agitate the system rather than enhance it. Let's talk about the heart. Caffeine is a stimulant. It increases heart rate and can trigger arrhythmias, especially in older adults with pre-existing conditions. Palpitations. Racing pulse. That sense of unease you might brush off as anxiety? It could be your body waving a red flag. Then there's sleep. Even a moderate caffeine intake in the morning can affect deep sleep at night. And for seniors, sleep isn't just about rest. It's about repair. Poor sleep leads to weakened immunity, impaired memory, and emotional instability. A restless night at 60 costs more than it ever did at 40. And let's not forget about bone health. Caffeine, especially in large doses, can interfere with calcium absorption, a critical concern for aging adults facing bone density loss or osteoporosis. Over time, a daily caffeine overload may quietly contribute to weaker bones and higher fracture risk. But the danger isn't just in black coffee. Caffeine hides in many places: energy drinks, chocolate, green tea, diet pills, even some over-the-counter pain relievers. An older adult trying to stay energized might unknowingly be piling on the milligrams. It's not about giving it up entirely. Caffeine, in moderate amounts, can offer cognitive benefits. But the key word is moderation. Experts recommend that adults over 60 limit caffeine intake to no more than 200 milligrams per day, roughly the equivalent of 2 small cups of coffee. But many people easily exceed that, especially when energy drinks or large coffee chain sizes come into play. The problem isn't the morning coffee. It's the second cup, and the third, and the soda with lunch, and the chocolate in the afternoon, and the restless night that follows. So if you're feeling more anxious lately, more jittery, or more exhausted despite fueling up all day, consider this. Maybe your body isn't crying out for more energy. Maybe it's begging for peace. It smells tempting. The sizzling aroma of fried food, golden, crispy, irresistible. From fried chicken at a roadside stall to crunchy fritters at a family gathering, there's something nostalgic about deep-fried meals. But what most people over 60 don't realize is this: the oil used to fry those foods, especially when reused, can be one of the most toxic substances you'll ever put in your body. In homes, in restaurants, in street vendors across the world, oil is often used again and again. It's economical. It reduces waste. But with each reheating, that oil undergoes oxidation, a chemical breakdown caused by extreme heat. As the oil breaks down, it releases compounds known as free radicals and aldehydes, toxic molecules that contribute to oxidative stress, a condition that accelerates aging, damages your cells, and inflames your organs. And for an aging body, oxidative stress isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. The brain, already vulnerable to inflammation, begins to show signs of cognitive fatigue. The blood vessels suffer microdamage. The liver, the heart, and the gut are forced to process chemicals never meant to be there. Over time, these toxins can lead to atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and even cancer. The signs might be subtle at first: sluggish digestion, chronic fatigue, foggy memory. But the damage builds, slowly, silently, relentlessly. And here's the most unsettling part: you often can't taste the danger. Food fried in reused oil still tastes crispy, still looks golden. But inside, it's soaked with compounds that the body cannot easily eliminate. In some countries, regulations exist to limit how many times oil can be reused in restaurants. But at home, or on the streets, there are no such safeguards. Oil sits in pans for days. It darkens, thickens, smokes, and continues to poison. So what's the alternative? If you love the crunch of fried food, consider air frying or using fresh oil for every batch, then disposing of it safely. Use oils with high smoke points like avocado or coconut oil, but even then, never push them beyond 1 or 2 uses. For people over 60, every fried indulgence cooked in reused oil is like pouring a spoonful of poison into the bloodstream. Not all at once, but over time, the effects are undeniable. Your body has carried you through decades. The least we can do is stop feeding it silent toxins disguised as flavored V. It begins with a glass of wine. To celebrate, to relax, to unwind. Alcohol, in moderation, has long been associated with pleasure, social connection, and even the illusion of health, thanks to years of headlines praising the benefits of red wine. But for people over 60, even moderate alcohol consumption can become quietly destructive. Let's start with the facts. As you age, your body's ability to process alcohol declines sharply. The liver, your primary detox organ, loses efficiency. The kidneys slow down. the total water content in your body decreases, meaning alcohol stays more concentrated in your system for longer. A drink that once gave you a gentle buzz might now leave you feeling dizzy, unsteady, or foggy-headed. And that's just the beginning. Alcohol acts as a depressant on the central nervous system. It slows reflexes, impairs balance, blunts judgment. For someone over 60, this dramatically increases the risk of falls, the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults. A stumble on the stairs, a slip in the bathroom, a simple misstep on uneven ground. That's all it takes. Then there's the interaction with medications. Many older adults take drugs for blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, anxiety, or sleep. Alcohol can interfere with these medications, amplifying side effects or reducing their effectiveness, sometimes dangerously. But perhaps the most underappreciated effect of alcohol is what it does to the brain. Over time, alcohol accelerates brain shrinkage, especially in areas responsible for memory and executive function. It disrupts sleep cycles, worsens mood disorders, and can increase the risk of dementia, even in those who only drink occasionally. And let's not forget the liver. Years of even light drinking can culminate in fatty liver disease, a silent condition that leads to fatigue, weakness, and eventually liver failure. The aging liver already struggles to filter toxins. Adding alcohol is like pouring fuel on an overworked fire. Many seniors drink not out of recklessness, but out of routine. A nightcap here, a celebration there. But habit forms quietly, and damage forms even quieter. So how much is too much? For older adults, even one drink per day may be too much. The National Institute on Aging recommends extreme caution, especially for anyone with health conditions or on medication. Quitting or reducing alcohol isn't about morality or restriction. It's about preservation. Protecting your balance, your liver, your sleep, your sharpness. You've worked too hard to build a life of meaning. Don't let something as fleeting as a glass of liquor chip away at the years you've earned. Because the real celebration is waking up with clarity, with strength, with a mind that's still yours. Let's pause. 7 foods. 7 choices. 7 silent threats. At first glance, they seemed harmless, common, convenient, tasty. They sat in your fridge, your pantry, your favorite restaurants, welcomed into your life without a second thought. But now, you know more. You know that processed meats don't just add flavor. They load your body with preservatives that fuel cancer and heart disease. You've learned that sugar, the same sweetness that lights up your tongue, can quietly dim the lights in your mind. You understand that salt in excess doesn't just season your meals, it erodes your arteries. Trans fats, once celebrated by the food industry, are now known to be chemical saboteurs, breaking down the very system that keeps you alive. Caffeine, once a friend, becomes a trickster when your body begins to slow. Reused cooking oil, once part of family recipes and street food traditions, reveals itself as a toxic brew. And finally, alcohol, masked in celebration and routine, chips away at your balance, memory, and organs, one quiet sip at a time. Now here's the truth. This isn't about guilt. This isn't about shame or regret, or living in fear of food. This is about awareness. And more importantly, about power. You're not too late. You're not too old. Your body, even at 60, 70, or beyond, is still listening to your choices. Still healing. Still waiting for better fuel. Cells regenerate. Inflammation subsides. arteries strengthen, brains adapt. And most importantly, habits can change. But change doesn't have to be radical. You don't have to throw out every piece of food in your kitchen. You don't have to count every gram or punish yourself for yesterday's indulgence. Start small. Start real. Swap your cold cuts for grilled fish or lean chicken. Replace sugary drinks with water infused with lemon or herbs. Reduce salt by using herbs and spices instead. Read labels. Watch out for hydrogenated oils. Cut back on that second cup of coffee. Skip the old frying oil. Say no to that extra drink, not because you can't, but because you now understand what it costs. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be aware. Food is more than fuel. It's memory, culture, connection. But food is also chemistry. And your body doesn't care how nostalgic the meal is. It only responds to the ingredients. So ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to live? Not just longer, but better. Do I want to stay sharp? Stay mobile? Stay independent? Do I want to remember my grandchildren's faces, climb a few stairs without gasping, rise each morning with clarity? If the answer is yes, then start treating every bite like a decision for that future. Because it is. And let's not forget, you're not just doing this for yourself. Someone out there depends on you, watches you, learns from you. Whether it's a spouse, a child, a neighbor, or a friend, your choices ripple outward. You are someone's example. You are someone's legacy. So protect it. Nourish it. Honor the body that has carried you through decades of storms, joy, grief, and resilience. Feed it what it deserves. Because in the end, the real gift of knowledge isn't information, it's transformation. You now have both in your hands. We spend our whole lives collecting memories, habits, tastes, traditions. But at a certain point, the most powerful thing we can do is let go. Not of joy, not of culture, not of food itself, but of the things that no longer serve the body we now live in. Because aging is not a weakness. It's a gift. It means you've survived things, learned lessons, gained wisdom. But wisdom means change. It means listening to the body instead of fighting it. It means choosing life over convenience. Choosing clarity over habit. Choosing more years with the people you love. Not just to live, but to truly thrive. So if this video made you pause, if it made you think about your plate, your patterns, or your future, don't keep that to yourself. Share it with someone you care about. Give this video a like to help it reach someone who needs it. And if you're ready to take small steps toward a stronger tomorrow, subscribe. Because this channel isn't just about information, it's about transformation. And remember, it's never too late to protect your heart. Never too late to sharpen your mind. Never too late to begin again, with better food and better choices.